Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now finally, long-awaited updates to Adam Warlock Moondragon, and we're gonna finally see whether there is a new buff on the horizon. So let's break down the post, but before I do, as always, I want to give you guys a TLDR of this video. And it is actually fairly simple. There is no change to Adam Warlock, nor there is any change to Moondragon, so both of them remain unchanged. And that, however, means that we do, in fact, this time around for a change, get an actual buff for an older champion, which in this case is going to be Red Skull. So let's break down everything that Kabam is saying, and I will give you my brief thoughts of that as well. So Balance Team's here again with an update on the latest round of champions up for review, Adam Warlock and Moondragon. In case of Adam Warlock, they are happy. He joined the contest aimed at being a damage-dealing two-way champion. Adam hit those goals with amazing DPS once he finishes his ramp and a very solid defensive win rate. Now, this is one of those problems where Adam Warlock has been far from an extensively popular champion, in my opinion, and therefore he does get a relatively high win rate just because most of the people didn't really learn how to fight him. Like, out of the top tier Battlegrounds metas, for instance, I have seen Adam Warlock in maybe like 2 decks out of 50, and rarely drafted, and I have ended up fighting him maybe 3 times in Battlegrounds. Therefore, since it is a champion you do not fight often, it is quite common that they do have higher win rate than possible. So I think if they are approaching this balancing from this point forward, the results here are quite misleading, because in fact Adam Warlock is a relatively low health pool champion, and once you kind of learn his special attack dexes and everything else, there's not much to him. But Kabam is happy with that, and Adam also has an incredibly unique ability, ducking into his stasis pod to avoid big bursts of damage, even tanking Gallon's Harvest. His playstyle can be tricky to sustain in certain situations, but when he starts getting his sovereignty counter going in, he becomes a top cosmic champion. Now, parts of that I agree, but again, with Adam Warlock, in my personal opinion, the results have been extremely inconsistent. If the fight goes well, he is extremely high top tier champion, but quite often AI just doesn't play ball. And the way I personally tend to view Adam Warlock is, at his best, he does sort of kind of rival, Hercs and Hulklings and Gallons and champions like that, but it is much more unreliable, and that is when he's at his best, which doesn't always happen. So, again, just to be purely objective here, because I know for a fact that there's plenty of people who love Adam Warlock, who praise him, who rank him, and I get that. And I don't. And not every champion is made for every person, and we're looking for different things, and that's fine. If Adam remains unchanged, he's clearly just not going to be a champion for me. It's not necessarily a comment on the quality of the champion, it's just one of those things where I do not necessarily like that, playstyle, that like step-by-step quick decision-making, and the sense of, well, to a degree, unreliability, or the sense that, one AI backstep instead of him following you for intercept, or him refusing to throw a special attack for like a second and you're done, right? So, as for me, I would have had hoped to see some changes. I have talked about it in past, I spoke about the DLL about it. I would have liked to see his taunt made passive and stackable to ensure higher chance of AI being cooperative, or perhaps his taunt again changed to passive Infuriate instead, because Infuriate seems to be working better. But it is as it is, and overall, obviously, Adam is far from the worst champion released this year, and there will definitely be people, and are people, who enjoy him, and I think it's fair enough. Again, this is just a difference of opinion, it's not some sort of an issue point that I'm raising, and again, absolutely nothing against people who have found Adam to be absolutely useful. It's just that, yeah, without any changes for me, he's probably going to stay at that rank 4 level, and I'm not going to be in a rush to rank him higher. Now, speaking of Moondragon, Moondragon, designed primarily as an attacker, entered the battle realm with few science defender targets in mind, notably Spider Ham and Immortal Abomination. So far, we're seeing healthy performances in her non-targeted matchups where players ramp to Psionic Transcendence with Mind Blast. We're also pleased with her performance in targeted matchups where Moondragon reaches Psionic Transcendence earlier. All in all, we're happy with how Moondragon has landed and won't be making changes to her kit, which I think is fair enough. In Moondragon, again, I viewed Moondragon relatively similar to like Black Widow, Deadly Origins, and Champions alike, perhaps with slightly better bits of utility. Again, when you compare Moondragon to, let's say, Kate Bishop or Valkyrie or Kingpin or the top tier skill champions, I don't think she's on that level. But I think that not every champion has to be. Therefore, Kabam leaving her alone, I think, is perfectly fine. She's going to be one of those champions, flavor of the player, so to speak. There will be people who like her a lot, rank her and play her and use her and do things that many people don't think she can do. I don't think she ever will be a mainstream chase champion that we're going to see as a staple attacker, in all the top tier decks and wars and stuff like that. And again, that is perfectly fine, which, again, I don't think she's too weak. I don't think she's at the top of any list or class. I think she's, above average type of champion. And if Kabam makes a decision not to balance her, I have, no real comment or objection there. It just means that, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think that too many people will be investing in her heavily. There will, however, be people who like her and use her. So let's talk about Red Skull now. We're working on a champion update for Red Skull. Look for increased access to his armor buffs, as well as few new tools to upgrade his kit. Red Skull's timeline will look like October and November is going to be beta builds, and December is going to be full release. So we're going to get a fully new Red Skull in December, which I do personally look forward to. There are many, many, many things that I really like about Red Skull. And Red Skull in a champion is, again, some very unique and cool things that I always liked, like how he has power drain on parries. It's a very unique thing where you're able to power drain the opponent without actually landing a hit or throwing a special attack. That isn't necessarily perfect when you push opponent special 3, but it is very awesome when you manage to kind of like crank up and you need to get your opponent under a specific bar of power in order to bait like a specific special attack or avoid them throwing a special attack. For instance, you can push somebody to level 2, realize that, level 2 is, let's say, unblockable and undexable and it's going to be trouble. You can crank up, let them run in at you, hit your block a couple of times, power drain themselves, and then bait out their level 1 and be safe. So it's a very unique type of thing, and in addition, he was a champion with frequent access to tech buffs, to shock, to heal, block, to stun. There was a plenty large amount of cool things in his kit. It's just mainly that his damage sucked, let's be honest. If Red Skull would have like double the damage, he would be significantly more popular character, in my opinion, because again, there's plenty in his kit. So if he has increased access to his armor buffs, that is a very kind of like big part of him gaining more damage. Red Skull is one of those few champions that a lot of people don't know actually benefits from having any buffs in order to increase his shock durations on level 2s. So 1000% look forward to. Again, why Red Skull? Why not somebody else? And so on and so forth. It's quite a difficult question to answer, to be honest. It still makes me wonder whatever happened to the Black Panther Civil War buff that we were promised like 2 years ago at this point, and obviously he seems far from the obvious choice for a buff. But then again, Red Skull it is. Not gonna make a fuss over it, and I still look forward to testing his kit. Again, it's a pleasant change that we are getting a tune-up, because most of these have recently, been basically no time for anything else type of situations. And hopefully we're going to see more of them coming back, because again, I still believe that buff program was one of the best things Kabam ever did, and it is quite obvious that Kabam prioritized creation of relics and balancing program over buffs, because it's the exact same team, exact same people working on all of those three things. Balancing, relics, champion design, and buffs are the same exact people. So something had to give with the Kabam's layoffs and everything else, despite what Kabam were trying to say. And Kabam chose the buff program because it doesn't generate any money directly, unlike relics and new champions and stuff like that. So, understandable business decision, unfortunate decision for the player base. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree about my comments about Adam Warlock, or you disagree? Do you guys agree about mine or Kabam's comments about Moondragon? And what do you think about Red Skull buff? I personally can't wait to hear more details, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information